Today I'm talking about competitor campaigns in Google Ads. I'm going to talk about what they are, why we would want to use a competitor campaign, the basics, the best practices of how to set one up, and potential limitations and problems that you can run into when you are running a competitor campaign. So first of all, what is a competitor campaign in Google Ads? So this is where we bid on the business name of someone who's directly competing with us. So if somebody is searching for them, then we can show them an ad for our business, our products, and our services. So you might be asking yourself, why would I actually want to place a bid on a keyword that is related to a competitor's name? That's a really good question, which I'm going to answer now. So first of all, it can help with your own brand exposure for your own company. Because if somebody is searching for your competitor, then they're probably looking for something that you offer too, assuming that you offer the same products or services as that competitor does. So showing an ad to them at the time that they are searching for that company helps them to see that, hey, there are alternative companies out there who offer the same thing. And so it will just help to improve that brand awareness, your brand awareness in the eyes of your potential customers. Another reason that we can use them is that it can be high quality traffic, because while you might not get a lot of, you might not get masses of traffic on one of these competitor campaigns, because they are searching for a company that does the same thing that you do, these people are potentially high quality leads, high quality potential customers. There is a downside to that, because they could, if they're very brand loyal and they're not likely to want to change brands, then obviously that isn't the case. But if that was the case, then they're not going to click on another company's ad anyway. They're going to go straight to that particular brand that they're searching for. But the idea that they are looking for a company that offers the same things as you means that if they're in a place where they want to buy, in a position where they're ready to buy, then ideally, if they land on your website, they're as likely to buy from you as they are to buy from the other company. That's the idea. Another reason that we can use them, another benefit potentially, is that it can be very cheap traffic. So if there are not many people bidding on that particular brand name, which obviously can include the brand itself. A lot of companies don't bid on their own brand name, which I incidentally suggest that you do for this very reason. Then it's a lot less competitive than bidding on a product-based keyword or a service-based keyword. And so for that reason, the cost per clicks are likely to be lower, and you will potentially get cheaper traffic. Okay, so there might not be a lot of volume, but if you're not bidding a lot against other people trying to compete with that keyword, then it will cost you less for the traffic that you are getting. So that's another benefit. Some best practices for setting up a competitor campaign. So I highly recommend that you do this in a separate campaign, because you don't want to muddy the waters in your product or service-based campaigns by adding in competitor keywords in there. So always bid on competitor brand names in a separate campaign, either one per, you don't have to have one campaign per competitor, but have all those competitors in a separate campaign. One reason for doing that is that quality scores can be a little bit low, and you don't want that to impact your other keywords in your campaign. So you'll want to add your competitor brand name then as keywords, obviously. Depending on what that competitor's name is, you might want to stick with exact match so that you don't end up blowing up a big campaign that's a little bit too general. Start off with exact match. If you're not getting any volume or any traffic at all, then you can possibly change that to phrase match. But it depends on what the actual brand name is as to whether you'll want to go for phrase match. If it's the kind of brand name that could potentially also be a search query, a product-based search query, then you want to avoid phrase match. You want to stick to exact match. The main thing to do with competitor campaigns is to come up with a great offer in your ad copy. So you want to look and see what their ads are offering, what their benefits are, what they're kind of pushing in their ads, and see if you can come up with something better without knocking the competitor. Okay, so You do not want to use their brand name in your ad. You don't want to criticize the competitor. You're not going to start slagging off the competitor in your ad. Okay. You might be showing up on their brand name, but your ad is going to be all about you and how you can help your customer and how your product or service can benefit the customer. It's not about saying, oh, don't go with these people, come with us instead. Really, really important that you do that. So there are obviously potential limitations and problems that you can get into with competitor campaigns. And leading from what I was saying about not having their brand name in your ad copy can lead to low quality scores, because your relevance score is going to be low because your keywords are not going to match your ad copy, and obviously your landing page, because you're not landing on a website that's the same name as the brand, you're going to have lower quality scores on a competitor campaign, which in itself can drive CPCs up. But obviously, if you're getting cheaper clicks anyway, that's usually not too much of a problem, but it's just something to be aware of. So you can also start a bidding war, because if other people are bidding on that brand name and the brand itself are bidding on that brand name, then it can start to get a little bit intense, with everybody trying to beat each other on those particular brand keywords. And so the last thing you want is to just be aware that you don't want to be paying silly money and have really high bids on a competitor campaign, because that kind of defeats the object. The whole point of these is that hopefully you can pick up some fairly cheap traffic. So just be aware of that. There is obviously the other issue of brand copyright infringement. Some brands have registered trademarks with Google, and you are not allowed to bid on that particular keyword. So that is something that you need to be aware of. It'll flag up really quickly if you do end up bidding on a term that you're not allowed to bid on. It'll quite quickly get disapproved. And then if that's the case, you just kill it and move on. It could be, if the brand becomes aware that you are bidding on their brand name, it is likely that they are going to reach out to you and say, hey, can you stop bidding on our brand name? And the last thing you want to do is to get into to end up with bad feeling between you and somebody else. My advice in this instance would always be to say, terribly sorry, yes, of course, we will stop. It's not worth getting into an argument and potential legal activity over this. But very often you can run these campaigns and nothing will ever happen. And the brand will either accept it or they won't even realise that you're doing it. And of course, if they do realising you're doing it, then you do have to be prepared for them to start bidding on your brand name too. So don't be surprised if you do this and their marketing team, if they are particularly on it, then it might be a case that they might not reach out and say, can you stop bidding on ours? But they will start bidding on your brand name too. So just be aware of that and keep an eye on things. But ultimately, I always run a competitor campaign if it seems appropriate for the particular campaign that I'm working on, because it can, it helps you to get, as I said, a little bit more brand awareness. It helps you to pick up some traffic that you wouldn't normally get. And ultimately, if this is profitable, then you're going to carry on doing it. If you set up a brand competitor campaign and it turns out to be expensive, it doesn't get you conversions, then obviously you're going to pause it. The main aim of any campaign in Google Ads is to make money. If you're not getting leads or sales on a competitor campaign and you've run it for a little while and it's just not working, pause it. It's not worth it. Okay? So those are my thoughts on running competitor campaigns. If you're interested in learning more about Google Ads and in particular marketing an e-commerce business, running and marketing an e-commerce business, I'd love to see you in the Online Retail Academy. And if you'd like more information on that, just head to onlineretailecademy.com. I'd love to see you inside, where there's a full 10-module Google Shopping course, and we have loads of really interesting masterclasses on all sorts of topics like email marketing and finances and mindset. And you can come in there and learn a lot more about Google Ads and how to market your online store.